I want to take a look at a question I was asked there on my YouTube channel on YouTube. Hey, it's Terry Gorry, and this is the Terry Gorry Podcast. What is a de facto partnership? A de facto partnership can arise easily enough. In other words, you can be considered to be engaging in a partnership with somebody else if certain conditions obtain or persist. The first thing you need to do, though, is you need to understand what the definition of a partnership is. And the definition of a partnership, according to the Partnership Act of 1889, is the relation which subsists between persons carrying on a business in common with a view of profit. Okay, key thing there is they need to be carrying on a business. If two people intend to carry on a business, intend to go into partnership, but are not actually carrying on a business, then it's not a partnership. Similarly, somebody cannot apply or claim that we're carrying on a partnership retrospectively if they weren't actually carrying on the business at the relevant time. So you can't look back and say we were in partnership then if no business was being carried on. So it's a key part of the Partnership Act, and I'm looking at the Partnership Act of 1889 there on the internet, on the Irish Statute Book website. And that's key. So they must be carrying on a business. As I say, retrospectively saying that you're a partner if there was no business being carried on, or saying that you're going to carry on a business in the future and therefore you're a partner, doesn't necessarily mean that a partnership exists, because the key thing is that a business must be carried on. Now, if you go to the Partnership Act of 1889 and you look at Section 2, it sets out very helpfully there, notwithstanding the fact that it's an 1889 Act, rules for determining the existence of a partnership. And it goes through the question of property ownership, joint tenancy, joint property, common property, tenancy in common, and so forth. It refers to the sharing of gross returns, not of itself creating a partnership. It refers to the ownership of property, not necessarily creating a partnership. And it refers then to the receipt by a person of a share of the profits of a business. Now, that is prima facie evidence that he's a partner in the business. But the receipt does not of itself make him a partner, but it is prima facie evidence. In other words, all of the circumstances will be looked at. The agreement, if any, the contract, if any, between the parties will be looked at. And then what will be looked at is, was there a business carried on? Was there a business carried on? That's the key thing to deciding whether there is a de facto partnership or not. And that is the position regardless of whether there's a written partnership agreement or not. So, you could very well be deemed to be in a partnership arrangement with somebody else if you're carrying on a business with them, even though that was the last thing on your mind. You had no intention of being in a partnership, but it may well be that the law will decide, or a judge, that you were in fact a partner. So that's the whole situation, or a summary, I suppose, a brief summary of the situation in relation to a de facto partnership. If you want more information about the Partnership Act, then you'll get it online, Partnership Act 1890. It's on the Irish statutebook.ie, and in fact you'll get all of the legislation relating to the Irish state on Irish statutebook.ie, including all employment legislation, conveyancing, the Land and Reform Act, or whatever you call it, Conveyancing Act of 2009, and so on. Thanks for listening, and make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss an episode.